We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Broadcast number 218. And today, yes, today, on The Only Way to Spend Your Sunday, does that sound as good as The Only Way to Spend Your Saturday? I don't know. We have Torch News Roundup number 184. We haven't done a Torch News Roundup in a while because, as I've said, with the current state of affairs in the world, it's difficult to get any news. We like to talk about all the news in pop culture if you're joining us for the first time. Comic book related movies and television and, sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, that kind of thing. We cover it all as best as we possibly can. And we got a really big show for you today, though, because we've got some new stuff to talk about in the world of casting, especially. And first of all, I want to admonish you to make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And as I always say, leave a comment down below. And I will sub back to you if you have an active YouTube channel. I always sub back. And of course, I follow all my followers on Twitter, so you can check the link in the description below for my Twitter page. Be sure you follow me there, where I'm constantly running my mouth, getting myself into even more trouble, as it were. We are going to talk a little politics tonight on the Torch News Roundup. I am so sleep deprived right now that, anything's liable to happen tonight, so don't blame me. Let me put the chat room up here so I can see it. Okay, in case there is anybody who decides to walk on in, I will take any comments and address them on the show, whether they are in the chat or live in the chat or in the comments below. And first off, let us take a look here at the ongoing Indiegogo campaign for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Yes, the Bullets Bourbon Chronicles is the title of this Indiegogo because we are putting out all our remasters. We've remastered all three of the initial stories, the original stories, combining them into one graphic novel or trade paperback. I think we had that discussion on the last broadcast, whichever you prefer to call it. But it is in one big collection, and we've got three separate graphic novels that we are offering here in this collection. The first, of course, being the 32-pager, The Origin, that we call It's Always Something. That's pretty much the story of Bullet's life. It's always something. There's always something going on to sort of vex him and try to stymie him. But he always overcomes the forces of evil, that's the main objective, is good versus evil. These stories are, of course, classic good versus evil. There's no politics. There's no SJW madness. There's no trying to be overly sympathetic with the villain. We just do straight up good versus evil. And the first issue, as I said, only $7. You can't go wrong at that price. I was at the flea market actually yesterday. That's where I'm doing all my appearances for the Fortune and Glory 2020 2020 New England Comic-Con tour. Of course, there's no cons. So that's why we're doing the live stream on Sunday, in case you're wondering. We always try to do it on a Saturday, but we did it on a Sunday. I wanted to do a stream on Wednesday, and unfortunately couldn't make it. But even though I burn the midnight oil to work on these books and get very little return for it, was just too tired to do it on Wednesday, quite frankly. So I wanted to make sure I got a video on today. Hopefully we can still do another coloring stream. I'm getting more views for those streams lately, so hopefully I can keep up with them and we'll build an audience for Bullets Bourbon and whatever else we're talking about during those art streams. I welcome all kinds of questions, as I said, in comments. And for the second issue, the sequel, Knock on Wood, where we have the introduction to Pencil Neck, one of the great villains in the Bullets Bourbon universe. He makes his enemies disappear. And then the trilogy, of course, the sequel, $15 US. That is a 40-page issue, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 40 pages. And you get both issues for $15. That's still a great deal. The trilogy, though, this is one of my favorite stories. When the Night Comes, this is sort of Bullets Bourbon at his best, where Bullets is pressed into service as a private. Well, he's a private eye, but he's pressed into service as a secret agent, and his country comes calling when Carrot Top and Pencil Neck both team up to try to destroy the nation's capital. Action, adventure, excitement, as you like it, as God intended it in the comic book world. Horatio T. Scotch, also another one of my favorite characters there. And of course, the unrequited love of Bullet's life, Desiree Miller, makes another appearance. Or I should say she makes her first appearance. So far, her only appearance. Will that change? Who knows? We'll take a look. And of course, these are some preview pages. We have, for $30, the whole Megillah. This is the 20-page issue, The Family Jewels. This is from the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye. This is at the printer right now. This one will be out probably next month. So this is the only one. Everything else is 100% done. This is the only issue that is not officially at print yet. It is going to print, and I'm told it's going to be printed by October 4th, because that's when we set up, and we set up the Indiegogo. But plenty of time to get this fulfilled. I've got a date of February, which of course I strongly believe that it's going to be fulfilled much earlier than that. If this is in fact success, this is Parsnip Top, the father of Carrot Top. He is the leader of the vegetable garden gang. As you can tell, they're all quite vegetable-y in that crime family. And of course, this is the introduction of Veronica, the lovely Veronica who has aided Carrot Top in the past. We get to learn a little bit about her in this issue. We get to find out she doesn't have the most, the most cheerful partnership with Carrot Top, as one would expect, him being sort of a egomaniacal criminal genius. But we're gonna learn a little bit about her in this issue, and I'm excited, as I showed. If you were following the other live streams, the coloring streams, you got to see some of the preview pages. We're going to learn a lot more about Veronica in the next issue, issue 8. We are working on that even as we speak. And I've put a few of those images up also on Twitter, if you are curious. This is, for $30, you get all 3 graphic novels, plus you get the 20-pager, the opening act, as we call them, of the Family Jewels, the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, issue number 7. That's 152 pages for only 30 buckaroos. Come on. Can you get a better deal than that anywhere? No, I don't think so. And we're not finished there. We're also throwing in a magnet and a couple of stickers, which is going to show some random art, which is either the covers of the issues or some pinup art. We have that lovely Veronica pinup. You might be lucky enough to get that one. As a matter of fact, if you are the first backer, I'm going to let you choose what artwork you want on the magnet, because just any of the pinups or the covers, you can choose. Just so we can get at least one. Can we get one backer on this project, just as a moral victory? At this point, I just want a backer. Just somebody back. And it doesn't matter whether it gets fulfilled or not. You're going to get your money back, I suppose. But just let me have a moral victory, will you? This is like Rocky just wanting to go the distance. You know what I mean? If I can get 1 or 2 backers, In the 2 weeks we have left, I will take it as a moral victory. But seriously, I want you to experience these books. I want you to experience these stories. This is something I put my heart and soul in since I was 14 years old. I always marvel at people who are trying to get into comics, and they ask me, they say, how do you write comics? And it's I take the question for granted that it's difficult for some people. Now, art is different. When you start, I always tell people you have to start with the stick figures. You know what I mean? You can't just expect to draw, reasonably accurate human beings and other creatures without practice. But I've always taken for granted that stories need that kind of TLC as well. I mean, I think I'm just one of the world's best observers. I've watched television since, not unlike many people, since I was knee-high to the cradle, and I've read comics literally since I was 3 years old. My mother taught me how to read comics at the age of 3. I've inherently sort of got the gift of knowing how to write a comic, to write a story. I've never felt challenged by structure and exposition, and people could criticize me. If you read the comic and you have criticisms, that's all well and good, but the way I approach it, I pretty much know how to write a story. You know what I mean? I know where you have to sort of build. You got to introduce in the first act, you got to build in the second act, you got to climax in the third act. You've got to sort of have the pointer scene, which is that's the way George Lucas described it, in the first act, where you sort of are explaining the setup for the whole rest of the story. This is not difficult to me. This has always come to me very easily. So I'm always surprised when people are like, how do you write a story? And, or sometimes they hand you a story or they read you their story ideas, and or at least I do, I have to wonder, did you really think this through? Did you kind of think, who's the main character and how are you going to approach the conflict? I mean, these things sort of were innately gifted to me, I suppose. It's just an innate gift. But like I said, I would love people to check out The Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. Let me know what you think. And like I said, it's the best kept secret in indie comics right now, I think. There's just not enough people backing it, not enough people supporting it. I try not to get discouraged because I truly believe, a time and a place for everything and everyone. I believe there is a market for Bullets Bourbon. And even if the campaign is not doing so well, we'll just keep soldiering on. You do anything long enough, it's going to get noticed. And so far, we are on 7 issues. Those 7 issues weren't, pulled out of the sky off the comic book tree. I had to work on those, and I got better and better as each and every issue and story and artwork and everything, as every issue went by, everything improved. And that's kind of the way you have to look at it. That at some point, just never give up, because at some point it's going to kick in. If you're dedicated to it, if you're good, and that's what I mean. I know that I'm good, and like I said, in the words of Babe Ruth, that it ain't bragging if you can do it. And like I said, I'm a cartoonist for a reason. You know what I mean? I've talked about the writing aspect of it, but the artwork as well. I mean, it is meant to be cartoony looking, and I think part of the problem where I don't attract as many followers or backers or whatever, I think it's because people are so accustomed to sort of the very detailed cross-hatching and that kind of look for comics. What I'm doing is really animation. This is what a cartoon would look like. It's based very heavily on Batman the Animated Series, and as I said before, Gargoyles, and basically the DC animated universe, as well as some of the more cartoony. People forget, I mean, a lot of the early Marvel had that soft cartoony look too. They had, Jack King Kirby. He sort of did his own style of art, and it was, sort of picked up by everybody else. but it didn't start as being completely, real world authentic in the art. It was to be more bold and more, expressive. And in the same way, I feel that what I do is my own style. I'm taking sort of a cartoony animated look and making it my own style. I'm not trying to look like McFarlane or whoever else was popular when I was a kid. I was more interested in the Bruce Timm animated style, and I'm trying to emulate that. So again, it's also what's popular versus what I want to do. And that's one of the things I think, if I could encourage any budding artist and writer out there, it's do what you want to do. Don't try to get into something that may be more popular, but you either don't like to do it or can't do it well, because you're obviously going to suffer in that way. All right, we've jawed for about 15 minutes here, 15, 16 minutes. But seriously, back Bullets Bourbon Chronicles, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Make sure you check it out. It would be fantastic if this thing gets funded. But if it doesn't, I still got the name out there, and we're going to continue putting out good books, good quality stories, good, as I said in the last stream, non-degenerate stories. They're going to be 100% degeneracy free. And again, it's just when you're feeling like there's dedication to your craft, it's just a matter of time. And I feel the dedication to my craft. I haven't slowed down. If anything, I've ramped up in the past couple of years. And we're just going to get this, comic in front of everybody. It's just going to take longer in some cases than others. All right, so let us get to the stories here. We have, you got to expect some of that. It's a campaign going on. You know what I mean? You gotta, what's the word? Promote. You know what I mean? You gotta promote. That's one of the things I'm not really great at, but it's just a learning process. I think that's what it is. It's a learning process. I've always honestly, and I'm always honest with you guys, I've always honestly been more, I think for lack of a better term, camera shy than at a live show. And that's why I like to do the live shows, because there's something to being in front of another human being. That's kind of what they're taking away from us with this beer virus. But when you're talking to just one person, or maybe two or three, about your passion project, and you look into their eyes and they see the enthusiasm you're showing, it's a little bit different than looking at a screen with an icon or something. It's a little bit different for me. But I really have to pledge myself to trying to get on some streams and trying to cross-pollinate. Like I said, I'd like to have some people on the show. That's always kind of difficult too, because I always feel like I've never had guests. And so if I was to have a guest on, I want to do right by them. You know what I mean? Am I a good host for that kind of situation? I don't know, because I've never been put in that situation. So it's kind of hard for me to want to pressure people to be on the show, because I'm like, well, why doesn't anybody want to come on my show? I don't really pressure people to come on the show, and it's because I suppose I don't want them to, I don't want to do a disservice to them by not, making them more successful. But like I said, if you're interested in being on the show, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions of people that want to come on the show. And if you want me to be on your show, if you have a show and you're interested in the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, you think I could make a good guest, well, let me know that too. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, I think I'm getting my second wind, so let's hope. All right, before we go any further, let me talk about, let's see. Well, let's talk about, it's kind of dovetails into what we're talking about here. So let me first talk about this. Alrighty. We did the poll of the week last week. I don't think I'm going to put it up on screen. Let me just read it here from my Twitter page. We did a casting call for 3 actresses that I thought could play Veronica. I don't have the image up of Veronica here, so I'm not sure. But we'll just talk about it here. I should have got that prepared. But the poll is now over, and it was tied with only 2 votes. 2 votes. You people are letting me down. People let me down in that poll. It was a tie between Caity Lotz and Melissa Benoist, both beautiful actresses, both very capable actresses. Both, of course, could do the action scenes as well as the dramatic. Rachel Keller not getting a vote, but I kind of am leaning towards Rachel Keller if I was to cast somebody. Like I said before, I kind of felt like she has both aspects of the character. She has sort of the haunted quality of Veronica. I think she could play that well. Watching that Mutant X show, whatever it was, I can't remember the name of that show no more. And I think she also plays sort of like a hot to trot chick on what was the name of that other show? You could tell my notes are copious. Fargo, I think, right? She played sort of like a, yeah. Anyway, I think she could play it very well. But again, let's hope that this takes off, and maybe I could have that conversation with one of these actresses if they'd be willing to play Veronica in a big budget Bullets Bourbon television series. All right, so that is the poll of the week question. If I get another poll of the week question up, I don't have one up right now, but if I do, I will mention it in the next broadcast. All right, so like I said, this kind of dovetails. Let's talk about Caity Lotz, and it's pretty sad. This is actually makes me very sad. Let's see. Okay. Caity Lotz on the verge of being canceled, unfortunately, yet again, by wacko leftists. Now, why is she being canceled? Let's take a look here at the copy. Let's see. Caity made a tweet September 18th where she said, "I love America and Americans. I love the people who will vote for Biden, and I love the people who will vote for Trump. You can disagree without being disagreeable." And the hashtag rest in peace, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Wait a second. Let me put the I'll put the tweet up here. That'll make it a little bit easier. This is captivating radio here, folks. I know it. Okay. So she's gotten in trouble for this, for saying this, and immediately the usual suspects all came out, like this weirdo here who says, "I hate the people who will vote for Trump simply because they hate my existence," which Caity replied with, "Go find a few and find out if that is true. Really go ask some people and try to have that conversation. I think you'll find a lot more love than you think." Now, this was followed by a hailstorm of angry leftists, angry libs. And again, Caity Lotz is only trying to be nice to both sides of the aisle, and she is being punished for being nice. That is what the sad effect of this is. Because we all know Hollywood is majority leftists. And if you know any of the popular celebrity tweets that we see from Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Mark Hamill, the list goes on of all the leftist, celebrities that have no qualms about basically bashing the right and taking everybody to task that doesn't share their views. So I found it refreshing. I honestly did find it refreshing that Caity, who's probably left of center, I mean, let's admit that first of all, too. I don't know for sure, but basically the odds are when you're in Hollywood, you are left of center. And I know she's done some feminist speechifying or whatever. So, I mean, I think she probably is left of center. But she is trying to I don't want to use the term olive branch, but she's trying to reach out to people of all sides and say, look, you can disagree with people without hating them. Now, that's the message that for some reason won't resonate with leftists. And again, I don't want to get too political. I do a lot of that on Twitter. And I think it's probably a little bit too much. But it is in an election year, and with the crazy year that we've been having, it's kind of, I feel like I should do more political topics on YouTube. You can let me know in the comments below if you think I should. But not long after this, let me find the other tweet. Let's see. Caity deleted the original tweet that you see in front of you and tweeted, the purpose of my tweet was to try and put some love into the political space and create some unity because it scares me how divided our nation is. I deleted it because it seemed to have an opposite effect. I'm signing off. Thanks for understanding. So, this, of course, created a big deluge of leftists that were complaining. And like this person says here, I hate the people who will vote for Trump simply because they hate my existence. Now, for some reason, that is the strange bugaboo that goes on with the leftists. I have the same problem, you know, in my personal life when you're going out and wearing a Trump mask like I do, seeing as how we're forced to be masked. And one of my family members was accosted by a woman who was literally out of her mind, saying, shame on you, shame on you. Shame on you for what? For supporting your president? Why have we come to a place in this country where you're not allowed to support a certain side of the political spectrum? This is unacceptable. And this really points it out, what happened here with Caity Lotz. Because one whole side of the political spectrum want to cancel her because she is saying basically that she loves people regardless of political affiliation. Because if you're a Trump supporter, it does not mean that you are Satan themselves or that you're a Nazi sympathizer or whatever bullcrap that they will spew on any given day. We have to go back to the common consensus that we have a two-party system. If you're a Republican, you think you're right. If you're a Democrat, you think you're right. We all know that. That goes back for hundreds of years. But there was never such a vilification before of, if you like Trump, you're some kind of Nazi, or you're some kind of racist, or you're some kind of a homophobe, or a misogynist or something. Where did that start? I don't know. I mean, I know the political climate was always rough, going back 50 years, going back to, I don't know, probably the 60s, right? I think that's when things started ramping up and it started getting nasty after Kennedy was assassinated and all the stuff going on with Nixon. That it sort of became an us versus them mentality. I don't really think that's the way it was intended to be. And I applaud Caity Lotz. And I even said on Twitter, which I hope she sees it someday, but I don't know. It's boggling the mind how one side immediately jumps on the bandwagon to cancel her because she is trying to create harmony and inclusiveness. You are not supposed to see me as the enemy. You are not supposed to see Trump as the enemy, to be totally honest. Political enemy, maybe. But you are not supposed to, and this is the reason why we're in the predicament we're in this country. We have crazy people out there. Crazy people who want to burn down houses and stores and tear down historical monuments and stuff, all because they can't get their way. Now, as a Republican, I didn't like Obama. I didn't have anything personally against him. I didn't say he was the devil. I just thought he was a pretty poor president. Like pretty much all other Republicans, we waited. We tried to elect somebody else. Didn't happen. We waited longer. it was time for him to leave office, and we voted for the next person who we wanted to inhabit the White House. That's the way the political system works. People don't understand that these days, though, for some reason. They think you're supposed to agree that Trump, the Republican Senate, anybody who votes Republican, that they're evil, that they're the devil, and that there is no conversation about this. You don't agree to disagree. You don't shake hands and part ways and say, well, you know, maybe next time we'll have this conversation again. No, you hate that person, you ostracize that person, you try to silence that person, and that's not the way America was made to be. As my mother always says, there's freedom of speech. There's freedom of speech in this country. Don't be afraid to say whatever you believe in. I was taught that, and I am a full participant of that and believer of that to this day. It's a free country. If you're a Democrat, if you believe in the liberal ideologies, the socialist, borderline, communist, Marxist ideologies, you have that freedom to believe that. You don't have the freedom to say that conservatives are the devil, that because you believe in pro-life, that you're the devil, that because you believe in the Second Amendment, that you're the devil. You don't get to say that. We're supposed to treat each other like equals. We're supposed to treat each other as Jesus taught, love thy neighbor as yourself. And again, not enough celebrities do this, not enough athletes do this, not enough public people do this. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate Caity Lotz, thank her, I suppose, for having the courage to come out at first and say this. And I don't think any less of her that she deleted it, although I wish she would have kept it up because this isn't going away. But there is a, you know, there's a climate of cancel culture that, you know, it scares people. When the mob comes out and they're about to be stoned, metaphorically, if not literally, they want to retreat. They want to go back and say, okay, don't hurt me, metaphorically again. And I'm sure that's what Caity's going through. But again, I've always liked her. And again, this is a good thing, what she said. I think more people have to do this. I don't think just coming out and being like, I'm afraid to support Trump, or I'm afraid to support people who support Trump, even if I don't support Trump. That's insanity. When did we get that way as a country? I still don't understand it, because it's, you know, there is a two-party system for a reason. The founding fathers did not install a monarchy, which said Nancy Pelosi should always run the House, Barack Obama and whoever his successors are should always run the presidency, and the Supreme Court should always be completely liberal, like it's been for the last 30, 40, 50 years. It's time for a change. And, you know, these people on the other side of the aisle don't like that, but that's too bad, because we have lived with liberalism in charge, in the case of the Supreme Court, like I said, for about 50 years. In the case of the presidency, that was the 8 years previous to Trump. You don't get your way all the time. We had to deal with it on our side. You have to deal with it on your side. And that doesn't mean continually badgering the president and continually badgering any and all people who he appoints and endorses or whatever. It's crazy. And I wish more people would take this tact of what normal people used to do, which is, let's agree to disagree. If I can convince you, that's great. If you can convince me, that's wonderful. If it doesn't happen, we agree to disagree, and there's a two-party system for a reason. You're not evil for being a Democrat. You're not evil for being a Republican. There are some people who are Democrats who are evil. There are some people who are Republicans who are evil. But it is not a complete party-wide poison. I know there's a lot of Democrats who are pro-life, and I applaud them when I hear about it. I know there are, Republicans who are rhinos, who are literally Republicans in name only, including our wonderful governor here in Massachusetts. But all right, I'll get off the soapbox. But again, let me know what you think. And kudos to Caity Lotz. I hope she weathers this storm, and I hope she doesn't completely backtrack on what she was saying here, because it is the right thing to say. All right, we got some more things to talk about here, more goodies in the news. Let's see. We shall start with, we have a new She-Hulk. We have a She-Hulk actress now who has just gotten the role of Jennifer Walters, the famous cousin of the green-skinned alter ego of Robert Bruce Banner. And I have to admit, I don't know who this actress is from a hole in the wall. Honestly, don't know her. Apparently, she's from Orphan Black. Her name is Tatiana Maslany. She will play attorney Jennifer Walters and her lean green alter ego in the Disney Plus show. Now, that is the only thing that is confusing to me. Now, I know they want to probably CGI She-Hulk, and I guess they're going to do what they did with Ruffalo, and they're going to kind of try to take elements of her face and then just make her taller and larger or whatever. Not sure how they do that, but I guess that's what they're going to do. And I hope, as I've said before, that they're going to use... I mean, I guess she looks all right for the part. I mean, Jennifer Walters, I don't really... I kind of think of Jennifer Walters with lighter color hair. I know Alison Brie was a fan choice, and I know we did a video about that a couple of weeks ago. Apparently, she didn't make the cut. I don't know why. Let's see. This casting comes on the heels of the news that Dead to Me director Kat Corio, or Cairo, I don't know which one, Kat Coiro will helm the pilot and several other episodes. Rick and Morty scribe Jessica Gao has also been confirmed to leave the writer's room. In the comics, Walters is an attorney who gains similar powers to the Green Goliath when she receives a blood transfusion from her cousin, Bruce Banner. Mark Ruffalo's involvement hasn't been made official yet, but the actor has dropped a few hints that he'll reprise his MCU role for the show. Maslany is best known for her Emmy-nominated role in Orphan Black, but she's also appeared in the likes of Diary of the Dead, Stronger, and Destroyer, and can be seen in HBO's Perry Mason. All right, so again, like I said, she looks all right. She looks, I guess, okay for a Jennifer Walters part, and she does kind of look like she could be related to Mark Ruffalo, which I guess is kind of something they have to consider. And I think Mark Ruffalo also congratulated her on the role. I don't have that in front of me either right now, but let me know what you think in the comments below. What kind of show do you want this to be, too? Because, like I said, I've gone on record saying I like the Savage She-Hulk. I didn't really like the John Byrne version. I know that's kind of blasphemous, according to people. They love that version. But it's like a comedy. That's kind of like Deadpooling her. But the thing is the original conception of the She-Hulk, it was kind of like, it was like the Hulk light. You know what I mean? It's like the Hulk where she gets angry and she turns into a larger green version of herself, but she still retained a sort of more emotionally charged mentality of her own normal alter ego. So again, I think you could do that and work it out pretty good. I don't think you need to do the John Byrne version, but again, this could be just a comedy. This could be Harley Quinn, point two. This could be Deadpool point two. It's just another, slap at trying to do a funny comedy superhero show, but I hope not. I hope it is going to be the Savage She-Hulk and that she's going to go after the mob and all kinds of other great stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we will read them. What did I just do? Okay. In due course, next week. Alrighty. Well, technically this week, right? Because this is Sunday now. I'm used to saying next week. All right, so we have some, this is more rumor mill stuff, although we've been hearing all along that Henry Cavill, good-looking man, I got to admit, Henry Cavill has been rumored to be in talks with Warner Brothers for eons now. He's going to be growing a big Merlin beard by the time he actually gets this contract ironed out. But according to Cultured Nerd, The Witcher star Henry Cavill has signed a new deal with Warner Brothers to reprise his role as Superman in at least 3 projects, focusing solely on the Man of Steel, and at least a few options for future cameos in other DC Extended Universe movies. Now that's great. I'm happy to hear this, if true, because, like I said, he just makes a great-looking Superman. I think he's a good enough actor. He just hasn't been given enough to do as Superman, except be dour and mopey. I hope this includes Amy Adams coming back as well for Lois. That is not confirmed, really, but we'll see. It's hard to say why the trades haven't caught wind of this. Then again, the news that the directors of Bad Boys for Life would be working on Ms. Marvel was broken on a fan site similar to this one long before the Hollywood Reporter broke the news. So in other words, they might have got the jump on, but nobody knows. So it looks like 3 movies, if I understand this right. He's going to get 3 solo movies as Superman, right? And at least 3 projects focusing solely on the Man of Steel. So that means no Batman v Superman Part 2, you know what I mean? No Justice League or something. This means focusing solely on him. And then future cameos, which I hope there's another Justice League. I hope there's another Justice League movie, and he is a large part of it, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works out with the way they described it here. Cavill has made no secret of the fact he wants to return as Superman, and it sounds like this potential 3-picture deal could even stretch to him having a leading role in something like Black Adam 2. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it, but I don't know. I mean, we still don't really have official confirmation yet, but yeah, come on, Cavill, get on that red suit. A big red cape and bright red boots. And get us some Superman action, will you please? I, for one, am ready and willing for some Superman action because we haven't seen him since Justice League. We got the headless version, the headless Superman from Shazam. All right, again, I always preface news about James Bond as I'm not really a huge Bond guy. I'm actually tempted to go see No Time to Die. I have to say it like that. I can't just say it normally. I have to say it with an announcer's voice. No Time to Die. Because I haven't been to the movies all year. Well, when was the last time I was at the movies? What, February? Yeah, I think it was February. It's been so long, right? And so maybe, you know, and I like James Bond. I mean, I'm not saying like I never liked the character, but I mean, if you're talking about a 007 file who knows all the movies and seen all the movies like 15 times, I'm not there. I haven't seen Spectre. I feel bad because I probably should see Spectre if I'm going to see No Time to Die. But I went and saw Skyfall. That was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed that. So maybe I'll see it. But anyway, the news is, I think that movie's, I don't feel like saying the title again. I think it's coming out still as planned in November, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, according to the Vulcan Reporter, a site that has shared some seemingly reliable scoops in recent months, The Dark Knight Rises and Venom star Tom Hardy will be the next 007. It's no secret that Daniel Craig is walking away from the role after No Time to Die. Which, yeah, hasn't he? We had some fun talking about that before. Hasn't he been crying about this role like since the second movie? I think after Quantum of Solace, I just remember always hearing they kind of coaxing him back, and he doesn't really want to come back, but he's like, "Yeah, I'll do one more, and yeah, we'll do another." And what is so hard about playing James Bond? You kiss the pretty ladies, you shoot the gun. I don't know. He acts like it's like pulling teeth to play James Bond. I mean, come on. Didn't what's his face there? Roger Moore. He played him until he was like 60 years old, I think, right? He was like the oldest. I don't know how old Craig is. He's getting up there too, I guess. He's in his 50s. All right, let's see. The film is set to be released this November in theaters, and there's been speculation about who will take over as James Bond for years now. Hardy's name is one that's been suggested for years, though this is still somewhat surprising giving the actor's age and demands for a new, diverse 007. See, that's the thing. I think Hardy would probably be a good 007, but that's the reason why nobody wants him. They need a diverse 007. We need a woman 007. We need a black 007. We need a black woman 007 would probably be perfect. But, you know, they're not stupid, these producers, these Hollywood producers. They moisten a finger and see how much can we get away with the ideology stuff. How much can we get away with? And they stop and they see, well, people are accepting race-changing the leading ladies now. For instance, MJ and Spider-Man. So, voila, we've got a black Catwoman. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way it's going to go with whatever the next big superhero franchise is. But we're not race-changing the starring heroes yet. The lead characters, for some reason, are not being race-changed. So when we get to that point, when we get the black Captain Kirk and we get the black Indiana Jones and whatever, when we recast any of those movies with, you know, a new black actor, that's probably when we'll get James Bond. It's got to happen with sort of they got to lay the ground rules. You know what I mean? It's got to become a beaten path before too many people will do it. But really, like I said, I don't have a problem with Hardy. I think he's a good actor. He probably would play this really well. I know a lot of people also think Tom Hiddleston would be good. He would be good too, I think. Hiddleston is just like, Hiddleston is a better villain, I think. I think people just take him as a villain, I think. And I can see him playing, I think Rami Malek is in this as a villain. I could see like Tom Hiddleston doing one of those kind of things, one of those roles. I think that would be cool if he's like a villain in a James Bond film. Let's see. In many ways, Hardy feels like a safe choice, but there's no denying that it would be fun seeing him as Bond. Plus, if Christopher Nolan can take a break from saving movie theaters, reunion with Hardy would be no bad thing. What does that mean? Is Nolan up for a James Bond movie? I didn't hear that. Apparently, the plan was for Hardy to be announced as the new Bond in November, but it seems plans have changed, and it's likely to be made official early next year, providing No Time to Die isn't delayed. This is very much rumor, but both Tom Hardy and James Bond were trending on Twitter all day, so this potential casting is generating an awful lot of excitement among fans of the iconic spy. So, what do you think? Would you like to see Thomas Hardy in the role of 007 James Bond? Let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. All right, let's see what else we got here on tap. Oh, man, I got so many tabs open. That's why it's taking so long for me to find the right photo. I got 30,000 of them open. All right, we got some news about the Flash movie. Well, again, this is all heavily speculative in nature. This is speculation, which, by the way, I hope you all appreciate that I am missing the Patriots game to do this show. For a New Englander, that's okay. But we're not going to rush it. We're going to go the full 2 hours here. I mean, the full 2 hours. The full hour. Okay? Let's not push our luck. Man, I needed a nap this afternoon. Just couldn't get it. Okay, The Flash. During DC fandom, Michael Keaton's return as Batman in The Flash was confirmed, courtesy of some killer concept art, which you see right in front of you here. But Fandom Wire claims to have more intel on the film's planned cameos. Apparently, now this sounds very, very iffy to me, but supposedly, and supposedly, mind you, they're going to do in this Flash film what CW did in Crisis on Infinite Earths. They're going to turn Flashpoint into, we're going to show you a cameo of every major movie star that was in a Warner Brothers fronted DC film. Because remember, they got every single television actor to come back. Well, you know, almost. Of course, we didn't get Linda Carter. I was kind of disappointed about that. But she seems to be kind of standoffish, kind of returning as Wonder Woman. I don't know. But, you know, but we got Burt Ward. We got the great John Wesley Shipp. We got them back in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so now it seems like Warner Brothers wants to do the same thing on the big screen, but get the big names. They want to get Michael Keaton back. Apparently, we're going to, if this report is true, we're going to see some other actors that were in other DC Warner Brothers films. Let's see. Batman Forever's Val Kilmer and Batman and Robin stars George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell are being approached for cameos in the film. The Flash TV star Grant Gustin is also expected to appear as Barry Allen. That I understand, because I think you have to put Grant Gustin's Flash in this one, because it kind of makes that cameo of Ezra Miller in Crisis less arbitrary. It just seemed like he was the only big screen guy that came in. I think you kind of have to reciprocate that. I don't know. That's what I think anyway. Let's see. The biggest and boldest claim, however, is that Nicolas Cage is being lined up to play the Superman who inhabits the same world as Michael Keaton's Batman. Now, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. Now, I think that's a step too far. I really don't know if I believe any of this. I think supposedly I've seen another report where Christian Bale is being approached as well. This sounds like it's like overkill, Brandon Routh apparently is also set to appear as two versions. Two, not one, count them, two. Two versions of Superman, playing the Kingdom Come version as seen in Crisis, as well as his version of Superman from Superman Returns. That's the Christopher Reeve version. That's, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Is that like overkill? I think it is. It's like overkill. But again, this is all pure speculation. This is all rumor mill. This is grist for the mill, as they say. So I leave it to you. What do you think? Do you want to see Nicolas Cage, crazy Nicolas Cage, as Superman in the same universe of Michael Keaton's Batman? I guess that Nicolas Cage is a Tim Burton creation, that the Nicolas Cage Superman. So I guess it makes sense. I don't know. Two different versions of Brandon Routh's Superman. Didn't his Kingdom Come version die, though? I thought his Kingdom Come version was the Reeve Superman, just older. I don't know. Also, how are you going to get... This is another thing that's strange. You're going to get Val Kilmer and George Clooney, who are supposedly playing the same character. I mean, you could kind of separate it. You could say Kilmer and Clooney was a different Batman than Michael Keaton. But technically, if you want to be true to, the timeline that supposedly is, Keaton, Clooney, and Kilmer, try saying that 3 times fast, were all the same Batman. They were all the same Bruce Wayne. I don't know, really, it's really crazy, right? I don't know. I honestly don't know how they're going to approach that. Chris O'Donnell, I got to admit, I love Chris O'Donnell. I'm a big Chris O'Donnell fan. Raising my hand if I want to see him again. Yes. I like to see him as like Nightwing and what he became after the Batman years, after the Robin years, whatever. I would love to see that. That's what I would like to see. I just don't know if I really need to see if they made Chris O'Donnell the Robin to Michael Keaton's Batman, or the Nightwing or whatever he is now, I would probably embrace that more than trying to fit in every single Batman actor from the past 20 years and trying to say they were all a different incarnation, a different Earth or something. I don't know. And yeah, props to Grant Gustin. I'd like to see that as well. So let me know what you think about this Flashpoint movie. It's really sounds like something, man. I don't know what it sounds like, but it's something. We've got one last story of the evening as we're getting closer here to calling it a day. We have the casting of Kang the Conqueror. Kang has been cast. Did you like the way I did that with a K? Kang, and then the cast with a K? I thought that was cute. I'm not tooting my own horn, but... All right, let's see. Despite rumors that Ant-Man 3 will feature MODOK as its lead villain, Deadline is reporting that Lovecraft Country, that's another tongue twister. Let's see. Lovecraft Country star Jonathan Majors has joined the cast of Ant-Man 3 as Kang the Conqueror. This is definitely unexpected and debunks theories that the God of Mischief will transform Owen Wilson's TVA agent into Kang in the Loki series. I never heard that rumor, but I guess that's a rumor going around. The trade, they're talking about Deadline, explains that, like with so many new characters in the MCU, there could be a twist with how the character is featured in future films, but as of now, he is likely to be the one main villain in the next installment of the franchise. I imagine that they're just like setting him up like they did with Thanos, right? I think they probably are saving him, to be the big bad of a Avengers movie. I don't really think they're going to make him the primary villain of Ant-Man 3, right? That's got to be it, right? Now, there's some speculation. There's some scuttlebutt going around that because, of course, the actor is black. Is this going to make Reed Richards black? Because, of course, now I'll admit, I was a moderate Fantastic Four fan as a kid, so I big fan of The Thing. I love The Thing. He's my favorite. But I never could understand the convoluted backstory of Kang. It's very confusing. Now, he's from the future. This is from what I understand. You can correct me in the chat or in the comments, but Kang is from the future. He's a time traveler, and he went back in time, and he became Rama Tut. And Rama Tut was sort of like a technological wizard now because he's in the past, and I guess he helped build the pyramids and stuff because he was so ahead of his time. Then we find out that he could have been related to Victor Von Doom. I think there was even a suggestion that he was Victor Von Doom that in the future comes back in the past. It is really migraine-inducing. I also heard that he could be related to Reed Richards. The story that I remember, I think the original Kirby, Lee and Kirby stories, I think they were trying to hint that he was either Doom or he was a descendant of Doom. But now I'm hearing that he could be a descendant of Richards. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's so complicated and convoluted to me. So I'm not really sure exactly who he's going to be. I find it difficult to believe that they are going to race change, because it's difficult for me to believe that the same studio that cast a pitch-perfect Steve Rogers and a pitch-perfect Thor and a pitch-perfect Tony Stark, that they're going to cast a Reed Richards who's completely doesn't look like the comic. I find it hard to believe that. But again, where we are now today with SJW Society, and can they get away with having a completely white Fantastic Four? They couldn't even get away with that, what was it, 3 years ago? When did that cruddy Fan Four stick come out? I forget what year that came out, but and because it's a family. Fantastic Four is basically a family story. So you got crazy things going on, like they made the Human Torch black, so then you have to explain, well, either he's adopted or Sue's adopted because they're brother and sister, or you're breaking that family unit, that you have a brother and sister on the team, and then you got a husband and wife on the team. It's like you can only stretch that, pun intended, so far without it not looking like the Fantastic Four in the comics, because they were essentially 4 white guys. And again, like all other books and stories and movies and stuff, if you want to add diversity, it's pretty easy just to do that from taking a side character and stuff. But the SJWs have become so ambitious that, as I said in one of the earlier segments, they're basically trying to make the it used to be sort of like you made Alicia Masters black in the 2005 film, I believe it was 2005, and that was like progressive. Oh, okay, we race changed ancillary character, and we're so woke. But it's like the progression is such that that's not enough to satisfy SJWs anymore. It's got to be one of the main characters, and so that's where you run into your problems. Where if you want to include diversity, it has to be on the highest level. And that's what's difficult to do and still have these characters look like they did in the comics. Now, unfortunately, I don't know this actor, so I can't comment on how suited or unsuited he is for this role. I imagine if they don't pull a Starfire and they actually make him blue with the jumpsuit and everything, he's going to look great. He's going to be fine. That's as far as I know. I think they're going to probably still make him look like the character. So it's fine casting as far as I know, but again, I'm not aware of the actor. But you can let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think the casting of, let me see his name again, Jonathan Majors is a good step for Kang? You think they're going to use Kang for just Ant-Man 3? That doesn't sound likely. I think they're probably going to build him up for Avengers 5. It's 5, right? That's where we are now. And so we have hit that 1 hour mark. I want to thank you all for joining us, or joining us on the rebroadcast, if you will. Be sure to check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. The Indiegogo is still going strong for the next 2 weeks. You can find the link in the description below if you so choose to back. And again, I don't want to pressure anyone, but back at the highest tier, that's where all the goodies are. So I would encourage that, if anything. And let's see, plans for this week. I'm going to try to do a stream on Wednesday. I'm always busy Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesdays and Thursdays, kind of iffy, but I think I can get them open at least one of those days. I'm going to try to do another stream, maybe a drawing stream, well, coloring stream. And we'll jaw some more about random things, about the book, about the campaign, if we can. And until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.